Welcome to Movement and Music as Somatic Catalysts for Healing Trauma. In this mini workshop, we're going to talk about 3 brief points that make a big impact. First, we're going to identify how movement and music serve as a catalyst for healing trauma. Then we're going to examine the benefits of regulating our internal and external stimuli to help with cognitive restructuring. And lastly, we're going to demonstrate the effects of incorporating a theme song to foster healing emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. I'll offer you a brief introduction. My name is Dr. Angela M. Grayson. I'm a clinical psychologist and board-certified dance movement therapist, and I'm the CEO and chief clinician of Good Fruit Expressive Arts Counseling and Psychotherapy. My main mission in my private practice is to enhance the quality of life through verbal and nonverbal creative expression, as well as educate, support, and provide opportunities for transformation of self along a spiritual journey of healing and wholeness. And I primarily do that through stress management techniques and tips and integration of mind, body, and spirit practices. One of my favorite quotes about movement and expression came from Judith Hanna in an article that I read during my research. And she simply said, the expressive body movement is assumed to reveal aspects of a person's state of mind, personality, emotions, feelings, and a range of adaptive behaviors. Now, what do you see when you see these chords? Do you see them tangled, intertwined, unraveling? I wanted to give this visual representation of ongoing movement and the dynamics of movement, whether we see it as being braided or whether we see it as unraveling. And so movement is our first language and form of communication and the method of expression that we use to communicate. It serves as the initial rhythmic bond and dance between us and the body that birthed us. Movement and music are inseparable. They are intertwined in the essence of our being and imprinted on our nervous system. There's no way we can even be, breathe, move, do anything without movement, whether it's internal movement that we are unaware of or external movement, either by breathing, blinking our eyes, moving our hands or our limbs or any parts of our bodies. And it's usually done in some type of rhythmic way, whether we recognize it or notice it or not. In the last 10 years, you may have noticed a surge or an interest in like body psychotherapy, somatic therapies, body neuroscience. And so there's been a lot of study on movement effects on the brain. So according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, scientists have found that the areas of the brain that control memory and skill, such as planning and organizing, improve with exercise. And what is exercise other than movement? Any type of movement. As long as it's something that gets your heart rate up or gets you stretching and moving around. And so dance has the added dimension of rhythm, balance, music, and a social setting that enhances the benefits of simple movement or complex, depends on how your moves are. And it also can be fun. Another research study, still by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, talked about the movement effects on the body. There are several different studies. Like I said, within the last 10 years, this has been studied heavily because doctors and physicians and scientists are really noticing that the impact of movement on the brain and the body has something to do with longevity and health, and not only the physical health benefits, but also the mental and emotional health benefits. And so physical movement can improve not only your brain health, but help manage weight, reduce the risk of disease, strengthen the bones and muscles, and improve the ability for everyday activities like cleaning the house or washing the dishes, or even if you have pets, walking your pets, or going up and down the stairs. So different things like that also contribute to your overall mental health and well-being. The study also found that adults who sit for long hours a day, so if you have an office job or a desk job and you're on a computer all day and you're not really having the opportunity to get up and move around a lot, your health is going to be impacted. And this study talked about even having moderate to vigorous small bursts of movement, so maybe a 10-minute walk on your break, or even having a change of scenery, like moving around, walking around the office or walking around the parking lot, will do great wonders for your mental, physical, and emotional health. Some of the benefits of movement and dance. I'm intertwining dance with the movement piece because that's going to be important when we talk about integrating the music piece, right? And so some of the benefits of movement and dance include, as you see here, boosting your memory, improving your flexibility, which is really important because the older you get, your bones and your joints don't move as much as they used to. So you might have an ache in your knees or your elbows or your neck or your back. And so improving your flexibility is going to be important to your overall health as you age. Also, benefits of reducing stress. Again, like I said, my focus and my niche is really on stress management, because if your stress is under control, then you have, the capacity and ability to focus on other areas of your life if you can minimize stress. Now, stress isn't something that's going to go away, but it can be minimized. The benefits of dance and movement also strengthens your heart, diminishes depression. I know we're in the fall season right now, so some folks do have seasonal depression or seasonal affective disorder. So the shorter days, like the shorter sunlight hours, impacts people's mental and emotional health in ways that they are still studying. Um, so when we talk about diminishing depression, I also want to jump down to reducing anxiety. So the more you move or dance and really get in tune to your body and listening to the knowledge and the wisdom that your body has, you can have some more control and autonomy over how you are impacted in these ways. So the last two things that I want to share about this is improving your balance. Again, the more you age, the more you may notice that your balance may be slightly off a little bit. So you may not even intentionally be aware that you're walking, swerving a bit more, or, you're leaning forward a bit more or back. So depending on how your body is organized, you may be off a little bit with your balance as you age. Again, as a result of not being as active as you once were. And one of the biggest benefits of adding some movement and dance to your daily routine is it increases your energy. And who couldn't use more energy? I say all the time to the folks that I work with in my practice, our bodies innately know what type of movement to engage in because it's a protective or a reflexive mechanism. Just the same way as, the fight, flight, or fright is an automatic thing when we're, confronted with something unknown or we're startled in a way. And so our bodies automatically know what to do. We just need to pay more attention to what the body is trying to tell us. So the power of training and therapeutic movement serves as a source to move us beyond our perceived limitations. Love, love, love this quote by Martha Graham. She says, "The body says what words cannot." Take that in. The body says what words cannot. Sometimes there are no words to express whatever we're thinking or however we're feeling, but the body wants to say something and wants to be expressive in a way. So getting into the habit of listening to your body and moving in a way that your body wants to move can help you release a lot of things that you're going through, especially traumatic things, because our body holds traumatic memories in different muscle areas. And so movement is a way to really loosen that up so that you can release it. Um, the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. And this was a quote by Walt Disney, and we know how active Walt Disney was and all of the things that he was able to accomplish because he didn't just sit and talk about what he wanted to do. He started doing things and started moving around and being active. I'm not going to give away my age, but you probably guessed like the first series of, the Mickey Mouse shows and all of those things that used to come on television. They were always singing and dancing and, playing instruments and really being active and moving around. And so as kids, that got us active and moving around and wanting to sing and dance and, pretending we were on the Mickey Mouse show as well. One of the ways to get started is by regulating our internal and external stimuli for cognitive restructuring. And I just wanted to give an overall general definition of cognitive restructuring. In its simplest form, it's a technique used to help people change the way they think, which affects how trauma is held in the body. Again, we hold trauma in our muscles. It's a muscle memory. So anytime we have a traumatic experience, it lands somewhere in our body, and we may or may not know where that is unless that trigger comes up for us, and then we can feel it. So again, whether it's in, your lower back or your hips or your neck or, anywhere that you have muscle groups, that's where the trauma is usually stored. And so if you're a person who goes and gets massages or acupuncture or any of those body types of physical therapy, physically therapeutic types of interventions, then when that release happens that you're probably overwhelmed with the emotion, and that's why, because the trauma is being released from that muscle group. Another quote, you see, I love integrating quotes in my work and what I do because I think it drives home the point. And this quote simply says, the body benefits from movement and the mind benefits from stillness. What does that mean? So we want to really engage and listen to our bodies and move in a way that our bodies wants us to move. Our mind, however, greatly benefits from meditation. I don't know if you have a meditation practice. I've heard people say so many times, I can't meditate, I can't sit quiet for that long, and I don't know how to meditate, I don't know what to do. But even if you sit and try to organize yourself and separate yourself from your cell phone and your computer or any other thing that's outside, an outside distraction, and just sit. You don't have to really do anything or try to force it or say anything. Just sit and time it for a minute. See what happens. You might be wondering how music integrates with everything that we've been talking about in terms of movement and the effects of movement on the brain and the body. Well, music is a vibration. And like I was pointing out earlier, when we were in the womb, we heard the sounds of the heartbeat and the vibrations of everything that was happening externally. So our bodies are in constant vibration with our internal organs, which make up our unique rhythmic patterns, and also our external sounds or the vibrations of, heavy bass. Have you ever heard the heavy bass as a car was going by when they had their music really loud? So that music causes a ripple effect and a natural vibration in us, in our unique rhythmic patterns, and we pick up on that sensation. Music is the fastest way to shift our internal vibration, thus serving as a catalyst to jolt us from one emotional state to another. When we're triggered by something that cues a trauma response, we can use music, a theme song in particular, to change our vibration to a different frequency. The stress response, very much like the trauma response, is a non-specific response of the body to any demand of stress made upon it. Stress is an internal alarm system that recognizes danger and prepares the body for action. Remember, I talked about how we're startled by something and then all of a sudden our body, goes into some type of reaction. The wear and tear on our bodies also experience as we adjust to our continually changing environment. And stress results from our perception of the event, or our reaction is to fight, flight, freeze, or faint. Take a moment and notice your breathing. Are you noticing that you're breathing fast, you're breathing slow, you're breathing shallow, you're breathing deep? All of this is movement and it's music and it's rhythmic. We really don't pay attention to it because it's something that happens automatically. Again, the research points out recently you hear a lot about the vagus nerve, and deep breathing stimulates your vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve is the longest nerve in our body, and it's the entire length of the spinal cord all the way down our bodies, and it vibrates and regulates and normalizes our emotional states. And so deep breathing helps to kind of stabilize the vagus nerve, and it has a calming effect and a calming reaction. And so anytime you are, taking any type of breathing practice or technique or class, they might tell you, like, some of the side effects is, you might feel lightheaded once you start to engage because we're not used to breathing that deeply. And so if this is something that you would like to practice, I would say start slow and make sure you're sitting down and you're stable so that you're not experiencing some of those side effects. But it's definitely a calming technique for your nervous system. Some of the benefits of incorporating a theme song to foster healing emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically include music. You guessed it, right? Sometimes music is the only thing that gets our mind off of everything else. So if you're ever, in the car and you're listening to the radio and a familiar song comes on, you're like, oh my God, that's my song. I haven't heard this in so long. Or, oh my God, that's my favorite song. It's something about not only the words, but also the tempo and the melody and the harmony and the rhythm of the instrumentation of the song is what really vibrates with us in our bodies. We don't really vibrate so much to the words, but the beat and the rhythm of the song. And each memory has a soundtrack of its own that lives within our bodies. So if you think about your favorite song, even if it's a favorite song over different time zones of your life, right? Our life is in time zones. So whether it's when you were younger, like preschool years, on up through grade school and middle school and high school and beyond, each era of your life or each time zone of your life has its own soundtrack because you have a favorite song from each part of your life that takes you to a place and that's tied to some memory in your body. One of the things that I like to encourage people to do is to have a themed playlist. So having different types of music for different types of moods and different types of emotions helps you to really integrate mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So the way that I encourage people to do this is to select songs that are meaningful to you and create an emotional response or connection. For example, I have a Get Hyped playlist with songs that pump me up. And that's helpful for whenever I have to give a presentation. So some of the songs on there, maybe songs of empowerment or songs that have a really high level, high energy beat. Some have words, some don't. I like to listen to a lot of instrumental music as well because it takes off the layer of dependent. see on the words of the song and really gets into, like I said, that vibration. And that's what kind of releases our body and sends our body into the motion in the first place, is really the vibration of the music. So the next time you are inclined to put on your favorite song, or you hear your favorite song, take a moment to turn up the volume and close your eyes and let the music take over your body and soul, and just let your body move in a way that it wants to move. Don't worry about how it looks or what it feels like. Just free flowing movement. That's what our body craves. But as adults, we don't really give into those urges as much, because we're so concerned about how it looks to other people, or how it's going to make us feel afterwards, or feel sore. If you, like I said, if you don't really move that much, you might feel sore if you're doing a whole lot of movement. But it's so beneficial for releasing trauma, and getting your muscles moving, and allowing our body to speak to us so that we can have the breakthrough and the healing that we need from the traumatic events that we probably don't even realize are still trapped in our muscles. Some that we remember, some that we don't. We may have internalized it so far that it doesn't even come to the surface. It may be triggered once in a while, but the full expression of it has not been allowed to come forth. So one of the things that you can do to help you regulate and get through, besides going to therapy, I'm not discounting going to therapy to work through some of those traumatic events, but some things that you can do to take care of yourself is to listen to some music and really just let your body move, and let the movement flow forth. And keep a journal handy, because you'll be surprised what your body says may come up and give you the answer to a question that you've had for a long time, that you didn't even realize was lying dormant somewhere in your body. In summary, movement and music individually impact how we cope with life stressors, but combined, they create an impactful imprint mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. When used as a tool to address trauma, movement and music as a catalyst for healing can be experienced. Take some time right now to get yourself in a comfortable position and just let your body move. Take a moment to take a deep, deep breath like we talked about. Taking all the air in. Letting it all out. Taking it all in. Letting it all out. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I hope you have gleaned some information that is useful for you in order to use movement and music as a catalyst to healing some of the trauma that you may be holding in your body, or also to share this information with somebody you know who may benefit from using movement and music in that way. Like I said, we're so caught up in our day-to-day lives, and we're on autopilot most of the time, but this is a way to take a break and to self-care. We talk a lot about taking care of our mind, our body, and our spirit, and this is a way to combine all of those into the simple practice of just doing something that we naturally do anyway. We are moving, living, breathing beings, and music is innate to us. It's in our bones, and when we combine movement and music together, that is the power catalyst that we need to be able to heal the trauma that we've experienced, or to share the information so somebody else can heal their own trauma. So again, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the summit.